Something unusual is happening over the United States right now. Not one storm, not two separate events, but a chain reaction that is slowly connecting weather across the entire country. From the mountains of the west to the plains to the east coast, everything is about to link together, and most people won't realize it until it's already happening above them. Right now, high above North America, the atmosphere is stuck. A massive circulation of cold air has been sitting over eastern Canada for days, not moving much, not weakening, just spinning slowly, pulling colder air down into the United States, keeping skies unsettled and quietly building instability underneath. This is not a normal weather pattern. It's what meteorologists call a blocking system, and when the atmosphere gets blocked like this, it doesn't just stay quiet, it builds tension. Now, far to the west, another system is waking up. Out over the Pacific Ocean, a compact but powerful storm has been organizing slow, tightly wound, and full of energy. This type of system doesn't fall apart easily, it holds together as it moves. And when it reaches land, it begins to reshape everything around it. As it pushes into California, it doesn't arrive gently. High elevations begin to see snow again. Mountain passes, cold winds, winter returning in places that were already moving towards summer. Drivers slow down and conditions change quickly, but this is just the first sign. Because this storm isn't here to stay in the mountains, it's here to cross the country. As it moves inland, it begins to pull in something critical: warm, moist air from the Gulf fuel. Invisible but powerful, and when that fuel combines with cold air above, the atmosphere becomes unstable. That's when storms begin to form. Across the central United States, you start to see the early stages: clouds building higher, storms lasting longer, winds becoming more organized. At first, it doesn't seem extreme, but underneath, everything is aligning, and then comes the shift. Storms begin to strengthen. Hail starts falling in larger sizes. Winds begin pushing harder. Lines of storms organize, stretch, and expand. And in certain areas, rotation becomes possible. This is where the risk changes, because now we're not just talking about rain. We're talking about severe weather, the kind that arrives quickly, often after dark, when people are least prepared. But what makes this situation different is not just the storms themselves, it's what's happening above them. Remember that system over Canada? It hasn't gone anywhere, it's still there. Still spinning, still pulling cold air south, and now it's starting to interact with the incoming Pacific system, two separate forces now beginning to connect. As the western storm moves into the plains, it runs directly into the influence of that northern system. The winds begin to align. Energy starts to transfer. The atmosphere, which was already unstable, becomes even more organized. This is where things accelerate. Storms in the central US become more widespread, more intense, and more capable of producing damaging impacts. In parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and nearby regions, conditions become especially favorable. Warm air near the ground, strong winds above. This combination creates the potential for rotating storms. These storms don't need to be large to be dangerous, they just need the right environment. And that environment is forming. What makes it more concerning is the timing. Many of these storms are expected to peak in the evening and overnight hours when visibility is low, when people are at home or asleep, and when warnings are harder to react to. But the story doesn't stop there, because this system keeps moving. As it pushes further east, it carries moisture with it. Heavy rainfall begins spreading across the Mississippi Valley, then into the Ohio Valley and further toward the southeast. In some areas, the ground is already saturated. Rivers are already elevated. And when additional rain falls quickly, water has nowhere to go. This is how flooding begins, not from one storm, but from repeated waves. Roads that look safe suddenly disappear underwater. Low-lying areas fill rapidly, and in certain regions, flash flooding becomes a real concern. At the same time, the northern system continues to pull everything together. Eventually, these two systems don't just interact, they merge, and when that happens, a new storm begins to form over the northeastern United States. Stronger, more organized, and affecting a much larger area. This process is rapid storm development, a strengthening low-pressure system fed by energy from both directions. For the northeast, this can mean several things happening at once. Heavy rain along the coast, strong winds pushing inland, and in higher elevations, even the chance for late-season snow. It's a reminder that even in late spring winter-like conditions can still return under the right setup, but the bigger picture is this. This is not one storm affecting one region. This is a connected system impacting multiple parts of the country in different ways at the same time. Severe storms in the plains, flooding rain in the central US, snow in the mountains, wind and rain in the northeast. All linked, all part of the same pattern, and perhaps the most important part of this story is where these impacts are happening. In recent weeks, severe weather hasn't been limited to the usual locations. Storms have been reaching further east, further north into areas that don't deal with this kind of weather as often. That matters because preparation levels are different, experience is different, and when something rare happens, it catches people off guard. Communities that haven't seen severe storms in years suddenly find themselves under warnings at night, with little time to react. And that's why patterns like this are important. Because they don't just bring weather, they bring change. Looking ahead, this setup doesn't appear to be isolated. It may be part of a broader pattern developing as we move deeper into the season. More moisture, more instability, and more frequent interactions between large systems. Which means events like this could become more common. For now, the focus is on the days ahead. Storms will continue to develop across the central United States. Rain will expand eastward. And by the time everything merges, the effects will be felt across a large portion of the country. So, what can you do? Stay aware. Pay attention to forecasts, especially during the evening and overnight hours. Know where you would go if warnings are issued, and don't assume your location is safe just because it usually is. Because this pattern is not following the usual rules. 2 storms, 1 connection, and a week of weather that could impact millions. Stay alert, stay prepared, and keep watching the skies.